Hi, it's Richard here from Intelligent Advisor IT Consulting with the second in our video series about the Cultivate Sophia integration between Oracle Intelligent Advisor and Salesforce. So this second video concentrates on how easy it is to create an interview and use it to load and save Salesforce data. And I've got a simple interview here with just a couple of levels of entity and representing essentially account, contact, and note. No value lists so far, and just a few fields set up. I'm going to go to the standard mapping dialog and choose the standard mapping option, and then I can simply, as I would normally do, connect to my hub and select the Sophia connection that I created in the previous video. It will, of course, do the usual metadata load, and I can now proceed with the task of specifying which objects I want. I can pick from any of the Salesforce objects. I'll choose account as my parent, and I could, of course, choose to then create child records. I'm going to go for the standard update account, so I'll be creating some child records and updating account as well if necessary. All that remains now is for me to do the standard mapping process using Oracle policy modeling as I would for any other connection, picking out the fields that are required that are shown with the star. And I'll now add mapping for the other entities. So I'll map to the contact entity. If there were multiple links, I could use them just like you would with any other connector. And I'll choose note. And I can also use execute query in here, which I'll show you in another video. And now I'll go through the process of making sure that the mapping is done with all of the key fields mapped in and out so that all my warnings disappear from Oracle policy modeling. So in this respect, there's no training required for anyone who's familiar with mapping connections to other data sources like Oracle B2C service. This is just the same. No integration server, no developer required, just doing my job. So now I've created the mappings. And I've also, of course, set up the 3 layers so that I can map to the 3 different entities in Salesforce. I've added one simple business rule, which I will use to output a string of text into one of the child entities. So when we'll update the description of a contact once we've done something. This is just to demonstrate the fact, of course, that this is still Oracle policy modeling with its powerful rule engine. So now that I've done that, I can just build an interview. Now, to save a bit of time, I've built an interview already. My interview contains a number of screens, including asking for attachment files for a couple of the entities. So I'm going to go ahead now and just deploy this project. While I'm doing that, notice in the background that all the value lists have been loaded from the Salesforce application as well, which can be a real-time saver. And when this is finished, we should be able to go and use the interview in our Salesforce app. The deployment is finished, so I'll head off to Salesforce, and I've opened up an accounts page here, and I'll go straight into a demo account. And let's say that we want to have the interview in this page for our demo. So I'll go ahead and click the cog and choose to edit the page. In the components list on the left-hand side, I'll scroll down to find the custom component that I'm looking for. There it is, and drag it. I'll just put it at the top here. I'll get a warning to say that right now it can do nothing. It's because it's missing 2 pieces of required information, specifically the root URL for the interview start session, which I can copy from my Oracle policy modeling dialog, and the name of the deployment, which I can also copy from my Oracle policy modeling or my hub. Once I've done that, you'll notice that the interview preview wakes up straight away and will show me a live preview, which includes, you can see that it's loaded the account name. So it's, if you like, I'm immediately able to check that it's working okay. There are a couple of other parameters that I could use, as you can see in the properties window here, which include things like using a specific locale rather than having it auto-defined, or changing which record ID is used. But we'll be covering all of those off in a later video. So I'm going to save that and head back into the application now that my page has been edited. So my interview is started and loaded, and you can see that amongst other things here, I've chosen to use a list of values, which was pulled from the application, and I'm going to add an attachment. Attachments are one of those things that when you're doing custom built integrations, they're one of the hardest things to get right. So I've just gone ahead and added an attachment for account, There you can see the attachment being uploaded. And you may recall I added a child object called notes. So I'm going to go ahead and add a couple of notes. So this is an entity collect, and I'll add multiple notes to this particular contact, whose name is Bobby Smith. You can see the last name is displayed in this rather rudimentary screen. There you go. So one of them is a private note. Can't type very fast. And add another note. Of course, you can see that I've added extra fields into this screen simply for demonstration purposes. You can see that it's pulled the parent ID, so it knows which contact these notes belong to. You don't have to display those. That was just for the demo. And I'll click Next. And now I'm going to add some more attachments for contacts. Well, I'll just add one. I think that'll be maybe one or two. So I'll pick up a couple of PDF files. Again, I'm displaying some of the system fields simply for the demo, and I'll go ahead and submit those changes. So the interview is now terminated. I don't think I have anything else to show you in terms of the final screen of the interview says, yeah, there's nothing interesting to see here. But let's go and check out the data. So first of all, I can see that I successfully pulled from my modeling interview an attachment. I'll go into the contact, and you'll see that I have in the notes and attachments section, I have 2 notes and 1 attachment. And if I go into the contact details, you can see that I updated the contact description based on my simple rule. So I've been able to easily and quickly implement a full load and save, including attachments with multiple entities, into my Salesforce application in, 4.5 minutes. I'm just going to go and consult the list of attachments. Let's go into the notes rather. You can see that this is the note that was private and the other note. So we can see that the records have all been created successfully. And off we go again. I can go to another account and launch the interview once more. And as you can see, it's about as easy as it gets. Let's see you soon for the next video in the series.